It's been about 26 long years since we have gotten a project from this iconic 80s era MC. But thanks to Nas, Mass Appeal, and even Idris Elba, we now have a Slick Rick album. What is good, y'all? It's your boy Mixtape Moth. If you are rocking with this content, go ahead and smash that like button. Also subscribe if you haven't. But today, I'm going to be hitting y'all with my thoughts on this new one from Slick Rick entitled Victory. A Slick Rick album in 2025 somehow strangely takes me back to 1999, as that was the last time we got a Slick Rick album, The Art of Storytelling. And I have to add that that album has actually aged incredibly well, because I just heard it last week kind of prepping for this project, and it's still good. But going into this new Slick Rick album, let me know if you had any high expectations for it. But Slick Rick, of course, is one of the pioneers from that first golden era wave of MCs who's had a huge impact on fashion, flows, creativity, and of course, storytelling in hip hop. Now, some may argue that Slick Rick is the greatest storyteller of all time, but at least we know he is one of the main MCs to put creative storytelling at the forefront. And quickly, I have to stop to give Nas all of his flowers for being such a true ambassador to hip hop in this modern era, and really making this all happen. But getting right into Victory, it contains 15 songs lasting a brief 27 minutes. Now, the production was mostly handled by Slick Rick himself, but there's co-production from DJ Dirty Harry, Parker Hill, Idris Elba, Rory Taylor, Sean Prove, and Q-Tip. But with that being said, let me go ahead and just hit y'all with that track-by-track breakdown. The opener Victory intro is just a cinematic instrumental with some words to set this regal tone for the album, and I actually wish they would have turned this into a beat for the album. The first actual song was Stressed, featuring Gigs, and it has this stripped back 80s vibe instrumentally. Slick Rick is in a good pocket, having fun with it. Now, I normally don't get too excited for Gigs features, but he wasn't bad here, and they are both paying homage to their UK roots somewhat. So as a whole, solid opener. The beat could have been probably refined just a tad bit, but overall, I'm not mad at this track. The third song, though, Angelic, has this dreamlike beat that almost sounds like it could have been produced by Hit Boy. It was giving off that King's Disease flair for some reason. Very polished, old school meets new boom bap, and Rick was gliding over this instrumental, speaking on the impact of Lottie Dottie. But yeah, this is one of my favorites from the track list. The next one, Foreign, finds Slick Rick playfully flipping a reggae sample, and this is a head nodding track with some bounce that was giving me some Mad Lion, old KRS-One vibes, perhaps. But it is a fun record where Slick Rick's using his patois and UK flow, and it also showcases his unique humor. Track 5, I Did That, is just an interlude where Rick is giving himself all the flowers for being such a legend in the game. This is followed up by Come On Let's Go, and Rick does flip the script with this up-tempo house beat, really showing off the UK roots even more. Now, some may not like this song whatsoever, but I still feel it's fun, and it really doesn't veer from his late 80s, early 90s aesthetic if you really think about it. And if we're talking house songs, this is still better than the ones Drake put out on that album. But track 7, Landlord, is a major highlight, and it's more of a return to form. Production-wise, instrumentally, it's very majestic and almost sounds like something that could have been on his Art of Storytelling album. Now, on Landlord, Slick Rick is in full storytelling mode, speaking on his own personal experiences as a landlord in NYC. So this track may rub some people the wrong way. I mean, you could possibly interpret his tone as a bit callous, but he is speaking from his perspective about tenants constantly running up short, running game, and just not coming through with their payments. And even his frustrations for having a black American tenant judging him and not wanting to pay him because he's Jamaican and from the UK. So I'm sure all of this has been building up for Slick Rick. So yeah, he was venting on this track. But at the same time, he does have the self-awareness to acknowledge that he might be forgetting where he came from during this venting. So it is an interesting track conceptually, but let me know your thoughts. Was he being a little too insensitive to the plight of his tenants? After, you have the Mother Teresa prayer, and this is followed up by the groovy Spirit to Cry, a experimental cool track where Slick Rick is doing his thing, harmonizing a bit on the hook over this smooth, sparkling beat that was giving me some Outcast vibes for some reason. But then there is the banger of all bangers, Documents, featuring Nas. It's easily the hardest song, and this has a dope orchestral James Bond slash mafioso beat from Slick Rick himself. And this honestly also sounds like something that could have been on one of the Nas and Hit albums. And while Slick Rick came through with a dope verse, Nas, he was the MVP. Nas constantly here reminding us why he's at the top of his game as well, with lines like, "This that alcohol at the back of your neck after a fresh cut, sharp and dressed up." Also, Yankee and Met sticking up the game again. Yankee and the Englishman. Who the best storyteller? Keep it a Wilt Chamberlain. But yeah, I love the black James Bond vibe that these two had going on, and it's such a dope song. This is followed up by So You're Having My Baby, and you have this golden piano layered boom bap beat that traditionalists will likely love. And Rick is in his storytelling bag once more, speaking on a shiesty woman trying to run game. I do wish this one was longer though. Track 12, we are back into house territory with 'Cause I'm Here, another frenetic house styled beat that screams late 80s, early 90s. Yeah, some will really hate this song. And while I have to admit the two house songs aren't my favorites, they still somehow manage to work in Rick's favor. I mean, he manages to pull them off, in my opinion, and I think it's because of his flow and charisma. Then there's the brief Matrix interlude, followed up by We're Not Losing. Now, this has a darker psychedelic beat that's also a little quirky and one of my favorites. And it appears that Slick Rick is doing some social commentary on here, although I found his message to be a bit vague. It sounds like on one hand he was taking a shot at Trump perhaps, but then it sounded as though he might be dissing Asians and Mexicans, but I'm not really sure. Let me know in the comment section what you thought his message was. Then this closes out with another great short track, another great adventure. So this has a timeless, crunchy, and funky beat, co-produced by Q-Tip. And this one definitely needed to be longer, but it has that zany storytelling from Rick, and in a blink of an eye, it's over, but a dope closer. So overall, I'm gonna give this project a rating of a 3.5 to 4 mics. Now vocally, Slick Rick, he carried this project. Flow-wise, Slick Rick proved that he's still in tip-top lyrical shape, very nimble for a 60-year-old MC, which should not be a shocker, because look, I'm not doing the ageist thing whatsoever, but you have to admit, it's still inspiring to hear someone of his age still performing at such a high level. Of course, KRS-One's still doing it, and Rakim as well, but we haven't heard a lot from Slick Rick lately, other than the West Side Gun feature a few years back and his verse on the Primo compilation. So it's impressive. Now, what brings the album down slightly, in my opinion, is the production. It was serviceable, a couple really strong instrumentals, but a few that could have been slightly better or maybe just tweaked a bit. My other issue was the slight brevity of some of the songs that may have come across as a little underdeveloped. There were many one-verse songs, in a vein similar to what you would get on a West Side Gun project or an El Camino EP. Who knows? Maybe he was inspired by that. Now, don't get me wrong. It's not that I wanted a long, overcooked album with songs 4 minutes or higher, but look, a lot of songs were just very brief. As a result, it did have you fiending for more, which probably isn't a bad thing. Now, look, some people probably really dislike the production, but I still think it was solid. And at the end of the day, this was still a fun and enjoyable little drop. Maybe because I'm in the flows, but I do think there were a lot of moments on this project that were just vintage Slick Rick. And it does have me looking forward to more Slick Rick perhaps in the future, and I think it's a really good sign for the remaining Mass Appeal drops. But let me know below in the comment section if you thought this was a solid comeback album or Letdown. My favorite tracks include Angelic, Foreign, Landlord, Spirit to Cry, Documents, So You Have My Baby, We're Not Losing, and another great adventure. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. It's your boy Mixtape Mob. I'm signing out, but as always, it's peace and blessings. Slick Rick, victory, Mass Appeal, one.